Knowing you are of a French-Canadian ancestry, could you please give us your insights on Father Lionel Groulx of Quebec? I'm a French-Canadian rediscovering my roots, and I am deeply fascinated by Father Groulx's writings. Do you tend to agree with his political stances? Are they something a French-Canadian can hope to revive? How so?
Wow. Well, yeah, I'm all for Monsignor Groulx. He was certainly our greatest historian of the 20th century.
Wow.
Well, it's not like we had that many, but he was our greatest. And I certainly agree with his political stances, in that I would have loved to have seen the province of Quebec as the shining example of Catholic and French culture in North America. That didn't happen. Instead, we had the Quiet Revolution and became as scummy as everybody else, with masters even scummier. I mean, despite the trash that rule us in this country, I'd put any one of our morons up against Justin Bieber Trudeau.
Well,
I put Hillary Clinton up against him.
What does that mean?
She's prettier. And she's got better tats.
Better tats?
Better tats, tattoos.
I didn't know she had tattoos.
Well, I didn't either. I wasn't looking, but he does, and he displays them.
What kind of tattoos?
The ravens and Native American garbage.
Oh, Native American. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to show his one with the something wrong. He's just an absolute piece of drivel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's embarrassing that I related to him. But
we had one question submitted to us. It was a picture question, and it just showed him with the most gleeful, idiotic look on his face doing some religious thing, and just complete.
Oh, I mean, the guy is such a clown. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just? Why didn't? He's dead, but Milton Berle would have been better. He's just an absolute idiot. But that's the kind, there's a saying in Latin, corruptio optima pessima. The corruption of the best is the worst. And so, with the French Canadians, we had such heights of culture and faith. And we have reached such a low swamp of garbage.
I mean, is it really such that, I mean, Canadians are going to say, oh yeah, we like this guy, and we're going to keep on voting people like this? Or
I don't know.
Is there going to be a reaction against us? Like, let's not do this again, please.
Let's hope. I mean, we'll see next year. The little moron is going to be up for re-election, so we'll see. But, I mean, a large part of it was that they were tired of his predecessor, who'd been in over 10 years. See, part of the Canadian problem is that the Tories will get in, they'll be there for 10, 11, 12, 13 years. People get bored.
Oh.
Well, I do something different.
Oops.
Yeah, oops, indeed. I mean, that you see that not just in Canada, but in a lot of countries.
Mm.
And ladies and gentlemen, really, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I admit, your prime minister or whatever may be dull, he may be boring, but is he a moron? You got to ask yourself that question. Oh, and he's been in power so long, and I'm tired of it. Yeah, well, that's not a good reason to get rid of somebody. See, just because you're bored. What it implies is that you yourself may be a little incapable of making those sorts of judgments. So, you look at Harper. I mean, he was far from my idea of perfection. But he was so much better than his predecessor. And as far as this guy, I mean, they should have elected Howdy Doody the puppet. They would have gotten complete sentences anyway. But I digress. To go back to Lionel Groulx, we actually, Jacques Tarivel, people like that in the 19th century, we had a long tradition of very fine writers and historians in Quebec, which we have completely forgotten. And of course, in the States, nobody ever knew it, partly because it was in French. For the American, if it's not in English, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And if it's in English and it's more than 3 syllables, well, can we not go there? Anyway, as I was going to say before I interrupted myself, The truth of the matter is, though, that these people were great. Can we go there? Can we get it back? Well, it starts with the individual, you know. And mind you, I'm not just talking either about the French Canadians. If you're watching this and you're of Mexican American descent, or you're in Mexico, or anywhere, you should know who Lucas Salaman is. If you should know, if you're Argentine, you should know about the Cabildo group and about Lugones and Galvez. If you're Polish, you should know about Roman Dmowski. If you're Lithuanian, you should know about Antanas Smetona. On and on and on, if you see what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Today, you see there's a vast body of Catholic political and literary and cultural writing developed since the French Revolution, to some degree before, but particularly since, in many different languages. In fact, in as many different languages as there are Catholic peoples. They are the common property of all of us. And when you read a lot of them, you see the similarities, because they're dealing with very similar problems, very similar issues. Now, I know that part of the problem is we don't speak Dutch, we don't speak Ukrainian, we don't speak Czech, we don't speak Magyar, we don't speak Italian. Into that void rushes Google Translate. Now, I know that Googleese is far from perfect, but it's so good in getting the bare ideas across. You see. And of course, the funny thing about Googleese is that the more you read it, the more adept you get at it.
Okay, so...
And the more you actually begin to learn about the language you're seeing murdered in front of your eyes. In other words, when you realize after a while that a certain formulation is a direct English translation of this or that, it gives you a feel for the language. It's very strange. I mean, it's like learning a language backwards, but it gives you a real insight. You have to spend some time with it, you know, and be patient. But it's worth doing. And it's always getting better, too, I have to say that. I remember in the very beginning, Otto von Habsburg's name was always turned into petrol of Havincastle.
Wow. Okay.
Otto was always turned into petrol, as in gasoline. And von was of course, which is true. But Habsburg, Burg is one of the words for castle, Schloss being the other. And Haps, they decided, was having castle. So I pretty soon realized that petrol of Havincastle was Otto von Habsburg. But mind you, we're talking like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It's much better now.
Yeah.
And it will continue to get better. And the number of languages gets wider. So Google Translate, ladies and gentlemen. It's your friend.
There's no English translations of Father Groull's writings? No?
Well, who would? Why would they? It's not of interest or relevance to us wonderful English speakers who know everything and stuff.
You said he was the best historian of the 20th century.
No, I said the best French-Canadian historian of the 20th century.
Oh, well, that's like saying the world's tallest pygmy.
No, don't steal my words. Don't get me started. Italian-American cuisine.
Uh-oh. Okay, we'll drop it.
Yeah, I think, or Slovak-American cuisine. Do you want to talk pierogies?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay, fried or boiled, fried or steamed?
Steamed.
Ha! No, you're no Polak. Read on.
What the? Okay.
The Poles fry them.
Whatever.
Spaghetti and meatballs?
Yeah, what about spaghetti and meatballs?
That's not Italian.
What are you talking about that's not Italian?
It's not Italian. It's like corned beef and cabbages in Irish. It's all American. It's like chow mein.
They don't have spaghetti and meatballs in Italy.
Nope. Meat sauce, but they don't have these big chunks of meat because meat was expensive. There was an American innovation. The Italians got here and found they could get meat real cheap, especially ground beef. Made these huge meatballs, and then they became very, very popular, don't be shocked, in the 1920s. Can you guess why?
Why?
Because it was good in speakeasies. Spaghetti and meatballs is wonderful to soak up some of the booze.
Wow.
Now, what nationality ran most of the speakeasies and the liquor trade?
Italians.
Italians.
Oh, so you're telling me Italy doesn't have spaghetti?
No, it has spaghetti.
It's just the meat sauce part, which you're saying is
Well, it has
Italian.
meat sauce. It just doesn't make the gigantic meatballs. That was the American innovation. So you got to remember the Italians who came over here were not wealthy. They were mostly from southern Italy. They never taken from them. Their country destroyed. They come here en masse. They're very poor people. They used to have very little meat at home. They come here to the land of the big PX, as my brother calls it, and they're meat aplenty and real cheap. So they went cray-cray.
Okay.
Now they made meatballs, but you will not see that in southern Italian cooking in Italy.
Well, they're missing out then. Meatballs are great.
Oh, I'm not going to argue. I love spaghetti and meatballs. I'd be lying if I told you I didn't.
Yeah.